The article from Anthony Slater is comprehensive. It's going to answer your LeBron questions, your Anthony Davis questions, your Jaylen Brown questions, your philosophical questions, the thought process from Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr. And for me, the line that stands out above all others came from Kerr. Quote, sometimes not making a move can be the best thing to do for your future, and you keep stacking up good moves, and eventually you pounce when you're ready. So the implication is now's not the time. And as I think I've sort of said earlier this week, I don't love this. I can accept it, but only for a certain period of time.
Yeah, and I think you put him on the clock for a year, by next year, July 4th.
Well, you got, and what does pounce mean? You know, it doesn't mean you got to bring in a superstar or whatever, but there's got to be a different level of activity, especially now, of course, by next year, you're going to have a whole nother year of information.
Yep.
And how does it go?
Possibly another lottery pick.
Yeah, or possibly another parade.
Possibly.
Yeah, they're allowed to. And
I didn't say championship parade.
Oh, gotcha. There's always a parade on the 4th of July.
Exactly.
My favorite part is not a quote, but it's something that Slater wrote. And he wrote, "It has generated a sense that the Warriors are content in the state of stagnation as they meekly ride out the final seasons of the Curry era, accepting a non-contention fate."
Okay, but it
has generated a sense.
Do read the next line, though. The very next line.
That's a summation management would push back against.
There you go. So I get, but that is the perception.
It has generated that sense.
Of course it has. Of course it has.
Just the way he uses state of stagnation, meekly ride out, accepting a non-contention fate.
Yeah.
I don't think that they will accept a non-contention fate, but right now, with what you've done this summer, you're in a non-contention mode right now for sure.
Well, he literally said, Steve Kerr said in this article a number of times, like we are not in the championship picture. We're like, let's just call it what it is.
Right. And I'm not demanding that they always are every year.
Most teams aren't.
But I do get the sense that, the state of stagnation, you drafted 2 guys and then you brought everyone back.
Yeah.
And they haven't totally brought everyone back yet. GP2 is still out there, and there are some free agents you can maybe get in.
And some are gone.
Right.
Don't dance on the graves of Pat Spencer and Quentin Post.
They're gone.
They are no longer on this basketball team.
Quentin Post wasn't getting, $10 million a year? Wasn't getting 10 here.
We should do a 5-minute segment when the season starts and make a list of people making less than Quentin Post. That's going to blow you away.
Yeah.
Look at the free agent. First of all, LeBron James doesn't make half of what Quentin Post makes.
That's right.
But that one's a little quirky. But some of the players who actually signed that people actually wanted, who didn't get $10 million a year, and Quentin Post did. Dude, if you're 7 feet and you can sort of shoot, my God, it's like being a left-hander in baseball.
Is Kuminga getting $10 million, or will he get less than what Quentin Post got?
My understanding is that he's already got a $10 million on the table, and that's not attractive to him right now.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if anybody's going to offer more. I think Jonathan will get 10.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or play in Europe. I don't know. I don't know how that one's going to go. I kind of would have expected once the LeBron thing got figured out that the Jonathan thing would have gone rather quickly, and it hasn't.
Yeah, and
so I don't know.
A lot of these other things too, like James Harden opted out ostensibly to create that room, and he is still unsigned, and Westbrook is out there, and the aforementioned Kuminga and DeMar DeRozan, and there are other players who have long resumes who are still unsigned.
I mean, it would suggest, I think Harden's a little different, but it would suggest that all those guys are not hearing what they want to hear from the general managers they're talking to.
Yeah.
That's my only guess. Is that, teams at this point, they're kind of out of money. Like, whatever they're going to spend, they did it. They did it.
And you also don't want to extend for multiple years with a lot of these guys because of the threat of the aprons and all of the lack of optionality you would have if you're inking, like James Harden, if you give him 4 years and $140 million, well, that's a fixed cost for 4 more years.
So the Warriors say this is not the time. They're aware of the criticism, but now is not the time. So they say they're aligned. This is exactly what they see for this offseason based on other factors. So accept or not accept. 888-957-9570, Isaac in Oakland. Hi, Isaac. Thanks for calling us. What's up? Isaac. All right. Isaac's going back on hold. See if you can rattle his cage. Let's go to Rob in San Francisco. Rob, thank you for calling. What's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I think it would be okay if they had a move to make in future years, or if they actually were giving up today for the future. But, you don't sign big free agents anymore in free agency. You look at Giannis. They get traded a year before they hit the market or two. You got to have assets to get those guys. You trade those assets. After you trade them, you got to have assets that those guys want to come to. You can't say, hey, we'll give away our next 4 first rounders and get Jokic. And, hey, Nikola, you can come and play with Pods and Moody and Yaxel. Those are your 3 main guys to go with. I mean, the Warriors have nothing. They've made a lot of bad small moves to get to this point where there's no moves left. They've gone from 2 timelines to no timelines.
I get what you're saying, Rob. Here's the one caveat I'll throw into that, and this is now reminiscent of the conversation we had with Mark Spears yesterday. If you didn't hear it, Odyssey app, YouTube, you can go back, check that out. And he was very, very much pointing not just to the future, but specifically the trade deadline, February, this next February. And the reason I think that that's interesting is because the Warriors at that time, they have worked hard to create a situation where they can do almost anything at that point. Because at that point, expiring big contracts could be very, very attractive. Think about it. By then, Jimmy Butler, in theory, is healthy-ish. And
we have a donut bet on, January 15th? Is that right?
January 24th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jimmy's an expiring deal. They've worked hard to make sure that Draymond's deal and Kristaps' deal and all of those deals are very tradable and expiring in a sense. So you're going to have the flexibility to do some things at the deadline. Where I'll agree with Rob is just having nothing but cap space. In other words, let's say everything expires. You get to the end of next year, Jimmy, Draymond, free agents, Steph maybe has signed an extension and you've just got all this room. Well, it's a trade league. And how do you trade? You'd have to do like sign-in trades with old players. Your salaries need to match and all of these things.
Yeah, and the caller's point is good where you're not going to bring somebody in unless you have other stuff that player wants to come play alongside. And, no disrespect to the young players they have right now, but if you're a big-time free agent and the team wants to trade you to the Warriors and you look at the Warriors roster and you say, nah, I don't want to go there, GM.
Well, I get the only rebuttal there is that they would have the space to add more than one. So it would almost be kind of like when, it's kind of like when Miami brought in LeBron, and I think it was Chris Bosh was a free agent as well. And it was like, let's bring in 2 people. Let's bring in multiple people. So maybe they would have the flexibility to do that. I don't know what Steph is signing for and all of that. But, just having all the flexibility doesn't make it easy. That's for sure. Let's go. Let's try Isaac in Oakland again. Isaac, you ready to rock this time?
Yeah, man. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Hey, man. Hey, to me, it's all about coaching. If he could coach DeRozan, pick up DeRozan on the cheap deal, and they can have instant offense when Steph's on hurt or he's on the bench. They can have that offense. Thing with Steve Kerr, the coach is he can't coach people that shoot mid-range shots, easy shots. That's the thing. Warriors need somebody that can make easy shots instead of just living and dying off the threes.
Isaac, I like the idea, but we keep sort of being fed it ain't happening. I don't think DeMar DeRozan is looking at the Warriors. I don't think
he's looking at the minimum because you're left with about $8 million for 3 players, right? If it's
at least 2.
Right, and so if it's DeRozan and you're going to offer him the vet min, which is what LeBron took, $4 million, I think he'll probably have a better offer than that out there.
I would think. I don't even know. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know why that's still taking so long. Why is DeMar DeRozan not on a team? which must mean like maybe everybody's offering him the minimum. Maybe he doesn't want to take it.
And I haven't looked at everyone's current situation as it pertains to aprons and the cap, but what you said before is teams are kind of running out of money here toward the end of July.
How's this one grab you? This was another Steve Kerr quote that I wanted to toss around a little bit with you. Buy or sell. I think sometimes when you fail like we did last year, there's kind of a natural bounce back. Everybody's going to be really, really motivated and excited, and we've got good players.
I mean,
that was a dramatic pause.
There's
more.
I buy it to the extent that I think that they will be highly motivated to not do that again. And the other piece that you're going to read is the part that I'm absolutely going to sell.
We do need some better luck health-wise, but I think we'll get that. What we did last year wasn't good enough, and we've got to do a better job of just really finding the style of play, the two-way basketball we need. It's not sexy, but it's in the details.
That's what I'm selling.
Which part?
The injury bad luck. You got some injury bad luck. Moses Moody, I saw some report that it happened because, or maybe it was a caller. There's ice under the floor, and it was a wet spot. I don't think that was the case, but the Moses injury was kind of a freak injury, and the Jimmy Butler one, ACLs happen. He's an older player, and that is, to an extent, bad luck, but your 38-year-old who's been running around, getting open for 15 years, and his knee's now hurt, that to me is not bad luck. That's an older guy who works his butt off to stay in shape, and he's an older guy. And Al Horford's older, and Kristaps has either a mysterious illness or he's through it. He's got an injury history, so you can hope that you don't have as much injury bad luck, but I'm absolutely selling that as something that you can lean on.
I mean, it feels like it's already confirmed that bad luck will continue. Jimmy and Moses are not playing for most of the year.
Right, and
so that's the baseline now.
We could go up and down the roster, and maybe we'll do this closer to the season and just set an over and under on games played. Well, it's not sexy, but like Kristaps Porzingis, would you think that he's going to play 60 games?
Yeah, my brain doesn't. You know, I'm not Steiny. My brain doesn't work that way.
But we're having a conversation about.
I know, but I can't
injury luck.
How am I going to predict an injury?
You're not going to predict it, but
there's no reason. I mean, I don't know a damn thing about POTS. I don't know what that is.
Well, it turns out he didn't have POTS.
But then he did, and then he didn't, and then he did, and I don't know. And
Coach Kerr said he did, and then he had to backtrack the next day.
No, he said that he didn't.
Gotcha.
Right, and then he had to backtrack.
I get the timeline
so I have no idea what it is. I don't know if he has it. I don't want to speculate. It's a new, fresh year. Is there like a reason that I can give you right now why Kristaps couldn't play 65 games or more? No. I can't tell you, I know that sounds optimistic, but I can't tell you that he shouldn't be able to do that.
Well, he's allowed to.
Yeah,
but if you look at the back of his basketball card, it's not something that he normally does.
Yeah, but I mean, that's year to year. You know what I mean?
It's year after year when it comes to his availability.
It is. So, yeah, you can be overly optimistic. You can be overly pessimistic. I mean, it's sports. Injuries are going to happen.
Yeah, games and load management's going to happen.
I'm not going to put Pods at 81.5.
That seems a little high, but he played them all last year.
He's allowed to get hurt.
Yep.
It's you know what I mean?
Well, it's basketball, and there's one thing to where you have a small little injury for a week, and you mentioned Jimmy Butler, and he'll probably miss at least half the season, I would guess, although, he reportedly is doing well in his rehab. I don't know what Moses is doing other than having to camp in Arkansas and having Steph come out there for a couple days, which is pretty awesome. I just look at, injury luck, and they could be more healthy next year, but the other side of it is your old guys and even your young guys are all a year older. And so that's a tough one for me to actually lean on.
Except for you do now have a rookie that you want to play a lot. I mean, Steve admitted, the other piece of this article that's going to get kind of glossed over today, I'd say half of it is explaining the offseason. The other half of it is about Yaxel. That's the other half of it is about Yaxel. It's about his history. It's about the draft process. It's about what they thought of him then and what they think of him now and their plans for him and who he is both on and off the court. I find that part very interesting. And as much as this makes people uncomfortable because he's only a rookie, he is an old rookie. He's the X factor. He is. Like I don't mean if that goes well, the Warriors are suddenly a really good team and a playoff team or any of that. But he is very much, I think, the way he plays, how much he plays, and how he looks is going to kind of maybe set the tone for how fans are feeling about the season. If he looks really good and he's exciting and he's filling a role and it's helpful toward winning basketball games, I think that's going to calm a lot of this down.
Well, I think even if they aren't winning basketball games, if he goes out and shows that he can be, 15, 7, and 5 on the regular, he already looks like an NBA player. He's got the NBA body. He's not yet 24, but if he shows that he belongs and he meshes with the team, for me, it's not even about are you winning with him or are you losing with him. If he looks like the real deal, well, then that's another piece for the future. And Steve talked about in this article about stacking good decision after good decision. Picking Yaxel at 11 could be a good decision, and that becomes another piece that moves you closer.
Slate's on the morning roast was asked, was this the plan all along?
Pretty much, not that they didn't explore other stuff. Again, I put in there, there was definitely a Anthony Simons or DeAnthony Melton type conversation. They preferred Melton. Rui Hachimura is the guy that they looked at. They wouldn't have gone to the full, mid-level type number that they were willing to get to for LeBron, because again, that would have cost probably Moses Moody on a trade, and then, a Draymond pay cut that clearly Draymond was executing only for LeBron James. So there was outside free agents explored. I don't know every trade conversation that happened. There were certainly names that they talked about, but generally, yeah, their priorities were bringing back their guys. You could tell that to the point that Porzingis and Horford were done before free agency started. I don't know if y'all remember. That was June 26th and June 28th or something like that.
It was super early. And where my mind has gone this week is back to Mike Dunleavy's press availabilities. There were two of them this offseason. One was when they were announcing that Steve Kerr would be back. The other one was right around the draft. And Mike Dunleavy kept saying the same thing over and over, and I never believed him. I do now. Remember how jarring it was whenever everyone's like, what do you need to do about this roster? And Mike kept going, it's not about the roster. It's about turnovers.
Right.
This is not about making changes to the people. This is about making changes to the way our people play. He kept saying it, and I kept thinking, smokescreen. He's trying to not show you his cards. And it turns out he was totally showing us his cards. He was showing us that he wasn't going to play any cards.
Right. And the cards, trades are hard, and we know that. And you go out there, and if you think about one of the big trades they could have made, I don't think that any of them could have been made. Like the Jaylen Brown one, Boston, and Anthony wrote this in his piece, they clearly wanted Paul George as opposed to Jimmy Butler, who is not available until whatever date. And so, they wanted Yaxel Lendeborg as well in that 4 first-round deal. So you look at the options that maybe were there. Could you have given up Yaxel and 3 future firsts and, gotten Jaylen Brown? And would that have netted you LeBron James? It might have, but that felt to them like an overextension and an overpay.
This is one I know a lot of people want to get into, and that is Steph, his thought process, his current relationship with the front office. Here's what Slate said about that.
I've been given no indication it's anything different than it's always been, which is highly respected on both sides. Communication, particularly from Steph to Steve Kerr, Steph to Mike Dunleavy. It used to be Bob Myers. That's typically how it's been in the off seasons. Mike doesn't overly bother Steph, but for big news or big recruitments or hey, LeBron James should probably be called by Steph Curry within this recruitment process, sure. But Steph mostly operates to himself during the offseason. And again, look, all I can say at this point is I sense that there is no further angst between Steph and the front office than it's as symbiotical, or however you want to say it, as it's always been.
I don't know what's going to happen here in a month, but everything that we're hearing suggests that Steph is fine and he's going to sign an extension.
For how much?
I don't know.
That to me is the interesting part.
Whatever
I agree
he wants
that
it to be.
Well, that's the thing, is what does he want it to be? Because, Steve Kerr talked about you make a series of good moves, smart moves, and that sets you up for for the big swing. And if Steph Curry wants them to have that ability, then in my opinion, you don't sign for, 2 years and $144 million.
I mean, listen, with how little they've got on the books, though, what would be the reason at this point to not do that?